we as a country are putting the same wrong answer back. God done corrected our work. You know what I mean? God done corrected our work and showed us the error of our ways so we could actually move forward and learn from it. And what do? Put the same wrong answer right back. That is making America something again. I wouldn't call it great. Shout out to all of the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I am Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse.
U.S. will take 2 from international, and then we'll go from there.
You have focused on what Ukraine is giving up. What concessions will Putin be asked to make?
You know, the kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
I want to talk to the manager.
Now, I'll be honest with you, this started as a racist of the week, but before I could get around to making that video, he had a whole nother infraction, forcing me to make this a Who Raised Y'all. Pete Hegseth out here moving like me on a high school internship, just getting fired for a no call, no show on the same day they were going to confront me about stealing from the job. You know what I mean? I'm like, we can't even keep up with the infractions. Let's start with the racism.
The Reconciliation Monument. It has been returned to Arlington National Cemetery following its removal in 2023. This is a Confederate monument. Many suggest it was designed and put in place to symbolize the reconciliation after the Civil War. It was taken away, as I mentioned, several years ago. Why was it important for you to bring that back to Arlington National Cemetery?
Because we recognize our history. We don't erase it, Will.
Ooh. Is that what he just said? We recognize our history. We don't, is that what he said? We recognize our history. We don't erase it. That's going to be the new go-to for the biggest irony and the most brazen hypocrisy of the Trump administration. My go-to used to be bringing in the South Africans while undergoing mass deportation. That typically was my go-to. And then there's always the DEI purges while bringing in this cabinet from a 7-Eleven parking lot. Like those are like used to be my go-tos. But now I have a new third go-to. We don't erase history. Word? Cause I got whole videos, multiple, about all the history y'all done erased. Army public affairs officials who shepherd the service's media and coordinate communications with journalists have been directed to take down online content that includes race, gender, and affirmative action, as well as observances of Black History Month and Women's History Month, according to an internal memo reviewed by military.com. The danger here is the stuff has never been defined. One senior Pentagon public affairs official told military.com, it's going to get us thinking about race and gender in ways that are problematic, and it's inevitably going to lead to exclusion. This memo from constituents abroad on a U.S. military base were parents in the DoD school system. They're outraged that censorship like this is happening against military families. One asked a school official why they removed photos on the walls of Susan B. Anthony and Dr. King, but not Leonardo da Vinci, and was told, quote, he was a real historical figure.
Wrong.
Somebody told a lie one day.
And shout out to Rad and Airy for this list. Pete Hegseth says restoring a Confederate monument is about preserving history, but under the administration and his watch, the actual history being erased looks like this. A Harriet Tubman quote and photo removed from an Underground Railroad site. The Pentagon purged DEI profiles, including Nicole Malachowski, the first woman Thunderbird pilot, Alfred Masters, the first Black Marine, Sergeant William Carney, the first Black Medal of Honor recipient, and of course there was Jackie Robinson's military bio. The 442nd Regimental Combat Team, the legendary Japanese American unit, had references stripped from plaques honoring women and people of color literally covered in tape at the National Cryptologic Museum. And yet Hegseth weeps over Confederate traitors being taken down. Let's be clear. This isn't about preserving history. It's about which history he wants remembered. And when it only includes white men, even the ones who fought against the U.S., that's not patriotism. That's propaganda. Pretty well said. If there's one thing we learn from the cabinet, it's not about the qualifications of the white men. It's about the white of the white men. And that certainly applies here, don't it?
We don't follow the woke lemmings off the cliff that want to tear down statues. We look at and learn from our history, all aspects of it. And so Arlington deserves to have, and we're grateful to the state of Virginia for partnering with us. It wasn't easy. We fought to make it happen. And the Reconciliation Monument will return to Arlington where it belongs, to recognize the service of Americans of all chapters. So we're not tearing stuff down. We're done with that. We're putting statues back. We're putting paintings back. We're recognizing our history. We're restoring the names of bases as we've done across the country because we're proud of our history, as difficult as it may have been in some chapters. We're going to teach it, we're going to live it, and we're going to fight for it.
Now I got a fourth go-to. We're going to teach it? Really? Are we going to teach it? Because that would be critical race theory, right? That would just make, if you actually taught the real, that would be, we don't want to, does he know that he said we going to teach it? No, we definitely not going to do that. It's also funny that he said we're going to learn from it. Oh, that must be what Make America Great Again is about. That we want to pick up and learn from it. Make America Great Again. Pick a struggle, MAGA. You know what I mean? Pick a struggle. And by the way, while you're at it, how about this fact? Because he mentioned that they're restoring the names of bases. And by the way, shout out to veteran Fitz Lee. I actually have a whole video all about that. Be on the lookout. This from Task and Purpose. An Army base will now honor a Buffalo soldier. Fort Lee is now named for Private Fitz Lee. The new namesake was a Buffalo soldier who earned the Medal of Honor. The gist is they're not actually changing the names back to honor the Confederate soldiers. They're finding people whose names match the Confederate soldiers so they can keep the base's names the same while honoring different people. In other words, they want the clout for being up here and saying we're changing the names of the bases back without actually changing the names of the bases back, which is wild. If you think about it, it's not about the act. It's about the meaning of the act. It'd be like me getting caught cheating and then I show a receipt. Hey, I didn't actually cheat. I'm way too lazy for that. I went to Victoria's Secrets and I just bought a bunch of underwear and I just left them lying around my car and living room. Why would I do something like that? Because I'm a scumbag. That's basically what our government is. That's basically what our government is doing. They want the clout for the cruelty, not unlike our immigration policy, which has been a comedy of errors to the point where you got Stephen Miller out here reaming out ICE agents and whatnot, and that's hitting the news publicly. It's been woefully ineffective. However, if there's any instances of cruelty, say, I don't know, Alligator Alcatraz or actual citizens being deported or blatant racial profiling, they make sure to blast that now, don't they? There isn't an instance of them invading a Home Depot or a dispensary that doesn't hit the timeline, but yet the numbers don't seem to match the public face of ICE and immigration. It's not about actual effectiveness. It's about the cruelty. That is the thing. And while we're talking about just blatant hypocrisies, how about the fact that wherever you land on having a Confederate monument in general, just wherever you land on how problematic that is, how problematic is it to put it back? Huh? As however problematic it was in 2022 or 23 or 2020 or 2015, whatever the case may be, to have a Confederate monument, how bad is it to put it back after the fact? Paying money. They're talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. We paying money to put Confederate monuments back. I don't know about y'all, but my parents used to check my homework when they came home. And occasionally, not occasionally, very often, they would save me from a D by correcting my work. Hey, that's not right. That's not right. We as a country are putting the same wrong answer back. God done corrected our work. You know what I mean? God done corrected our work and showed us the error of our ways so we could actually move forward and learn from it. And what do? Put the same wrong answer right back. That is making America something again. I wouldn't call it great. And by the way, not everybody got the memo. Here's Chief Pentagon spokesman and senior advisor Sean Purnell listing DEI purge from DOD as part of the hell of a ride so far with Pete Hegseth. So just so I'm clear, the same time as Pete Hegseth is talking about we don't erase our history, you're listing DEI purge from DOD as accomplishments. They literally, they don't even hide it. It's literally right there.
What are some of the things you're bringing back to basic training?
Well, it's the basic stuff that anyone who went through any form of basic training for decades understood is as a recruit, you were going into a crucible. You were going to be forged. You were going to be challenged. You were going to be scared, nervous, and anxious. And by coming through that, you were going to be forged an American warrior. A shark attack is when drill sergeants surround one particular enlistee, right? Creating a stressful situation that they have to figure out how to manage. To bed tossing inside barracks after you've had a long day doing, out on the range or walking patrol. This is basic stuff. This is not, beyond what's been done. This is a restoration. So we're going to do two things really well. We're going to do the complex stuff really well. We're at the 200-day mark. In the last 100 days, we did Operation Midnight Hammer with precision. That's complex stuff that only the U.S. military can do. But we're also going to do the basic stuff well. Will, if you start soft, you end soft.
No, not from you. Not from. We heard too much in the confirmation hearings. Don't give me if you start soft, you end soft. Also, that's not the case with everybody. In fact, our race kind of depends on that not being the case with most people. So that's a you problem, Pete Hegseth. That's a you thing.
If you start soft, you end soft. If you aren't strong from the beginning, you won't finish the fight properly. It starts at basic training. It starts at our military academies. We are going back to basics. Drill sergeants will be drill sergeants with knife hands who maintain good order and discipline and train up great recruits who will make great formations, just like we need military officers with that same rigorous discipline and background. So we're going back to basics, and it's bearing fruit.
They're going back to basics. Back to basics. You mean like phone security? Would that be back to basics? Making sure that clearance is respected, that kind of back to basic chain of command, things of that nature? Or is back to basics more like just being led around by the matriarch of the family? That's why you let your wife in all the meetings. Like, is that what that is? I also love to hear about how toughness is back, which was what he had to say. Toughness is back from a man that don't even take accountability. Really? I wonder. So in this shark attack, while they're surrounding the recruit, what would be a proper response from the recruit in that? Oh, no, it wasn't me. No, hey, that is you are a liberal operative. No, that is an attack from hoaxsters. That is nothing but hoaxsters and low information, people that have been fired with an agenda. Is that acceptable on the battlefield? Cause it's acceptable from the secretary. So, you know what I mean? That kind of thing just kind of trickles down. Now, this topic lends itself to all kinds of media angles, and I needed some help. That's why it was the perfect time to call on the sponsor of today's video, Ground News. Because the most discouraging thing for me whenever there's breaking news or I'm researching a story is having to sift through clickbait and misinformation. And that's not to mention the media conglomerates swallowing up local news outlets to push their agenda. Ground News will give you the total number of articles published on a specific story, but it'll also give you the political bias for each source and story based on ratings from 3 independent news monitoring organizations. Now here we have Hegseth repost video on social media featuring pastors saying women shouldn't be allowed to vote. And this split is wild. You got 114 in the center. You got 70 leaning left, but just 20 sources leaning right, accounting for just 10% of the distribution. And naturally, with that big a split, the difference in these headlines is going to be significant. While the right gives us Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth belongs to an arch-conservative church network, here's what to know. And Secretary of the Defense of the United States of America, dedicated shepherd who questions the right to vote for women. Meanwhile, on the left, we get Hegseth shares video of pastor calling to ban gay sex and ban women from voting, and Hegseth wants husbands to vote for their wives. Here's some other tasks they can manage. You can also get the ownership information of a news source and find blind spots, stories that aren't getting as much coverage on either the left or the right. Check them out at ground.news/Reese and use my link to save 40% on the same Vantage plan I use for unlimited access to all their features. Again, that's ground.news/Reese and use my link to save 40% on their Vantage plan. And I'll see you there. Now, if I was Pete Hegseth at this point, given this level of nonsense and everything we've seen from him before, I would just chill. You know what I mean? If I was Pete Hegseth and I still was employed by our federal government, somehow, after Signalgate and after Wifegate, I would probably just chill. You know what I mean? It'd be a situation like Milton Wadhams from Office Space.
And I still haven't received my paycheck, and he took my stapler and he never brought it back. And then they moved my desk to storage room B and there was garbage on it.
Like, we never fired Hegseth? He's still on payroll? That would be me. You know what I mean? But again, I said the same thing about Lauren Boebert. I said the same thing about Boebert. Like, if I rode into Congress, on taking the GED 3 times, I probably would just chill and take notes. But this is not what they do. And this is a man that was brought in, as much as he is so obviously invisibly full of it. This was a man who was brought in for communication skills. He was brought in for communication skills. And this is what we get from him. And it's probably not even the worst I've seen. I mean, when he did that drone video, I didn't know if that was supposed to be outtakes or what.
We're going to train as we expect to fight. Senior officers, well, I'll grab this because it's the memo.
It seemed like that video should have been classified. I don't think it was really supposed to hit the timeline. Saying Pete Hegseth is here for communication be like saying Nancy Mace is here to protect women.
I noticed that there's one of the accomplishments, things you were touting was the I-526 interchange.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was the exit at Long Point Road, yes. Not the interchange, but yeah.
But that funding came from the Inflation Reduction Act, which you voted against.
Right.
Is that an accomplishment? Is that something you can tout?
No, absolutely. I mean, absolutely I can tout that. And you're a raging Democrat, so raging leftist with that kind of questioning. And I would say as a woman, like, you might want to think about how you view other women and how you treat other women, the way that you question them, because women are going to lead this country off the brink, and conservative women. The first female president of this country is going to be a conservative woman, not some liberal like you.
Okay, again, just a question about the bill, whether you voted for it or not, and what you were touting.
And to that end, before I could even get around to the Pete Hegseth Racist of the Week, he gave us this. All of Christ for all of life, quote tweeting a full CNN segment on Doug Wilson's crusade for Christian domination in the age of Trump. Let's dig in, shall we?
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country.
I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world be a Christian world.
And now Wilson's controversial views as a Christian nationalist are gaining sway in the nation's center of power with the recent opening of his new church and high-profile parishioners like Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Is planting a church in D.C. part of your mission to try to turn this into a Christian nation?
Yes. So every society is theocratic. The only question is, who's Theo?
Too soon. Too soon. I'm not ready to talk about it. Shout out to Gordon Gartrell.
In a secular democracy, it would be demos, the people. In a Christian republic, it'd be Christ.
Well, what would you say to someone watching this to say, look, I'm a Muslim. Who are you to say your worldview is better than mine, that your God is better than mine?
Well, if I went to Saudi Arabia, I would fully expect to live under their God's rules.
But you said earlier that you want this to be a Christian world.
Yes.
So you want to supplant their religion with your Christian.
Yes, by peaceful means, by sharing the gospel. There's a lot of work yet to do. I believe that we are working our little corner of the vineyard.
Okay, so let's get this straight. And it makes sense that he would be in DC because that was quite a political answer. So he said, I would expect if I went to Saudi Arabia to live under their God. So therefore, I'm expecting people here to live under my God. And when challenged about the fact that he wants to make this a peaceful world, he said, yes, by sharing the gospel, by peaceful means. But it's not starting with peaceful means because you said that you expect people there to live under their God. So that's your justification for demanding people do that here. So if you're not going to do it just by sharing the gospel, by demanding by force here, I'm supposed to believe that's your plan later? Is that the, I told you, we keep putting the wrong answer down.
A big focus of his Christian movement is on a patriarchal society where men are dominant and women are expected to submit to their husbands.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies. That's it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically. The wife and mother, who is the chief executive of the home, is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue for you?
No, it's not automatically an issue.
Josh and Amy Prince, along with their 4 kids, moved here from Washington State.
Do you see Amy as your equal?
Yes and no. In the sense that we're both saved by grace, we're absolutely on equal footing. But we have very different purposes, God-given.
Wilson says in his vision of a Christian society, women as individuals shouldn't be able to vote. His fellow pastors, Jared Longshore and Toby Sumter, agree.
In my ideal society, we would vote as households. And I would ordinarily be the one that would cast the vote, but I would cast the vote having discussed it with my household.
But what if there's your wife doesn't want to vote for the same person as you?
Right. Well, then that's a great opportunity for a good discussion.
There are some who have gone so far as to say that they want the 19th Amendment repealed.
I would support that. And I'd support it on the basis that the atomization that comes with our current system is not good for humans.
And Wilson, a veteran himself, is unapologetic about his view that women shouldn't be in certain leadership or combat roles.
Looking at the leadership page for Christchurch, it's all men. Do you accept women in leadership roles in the church and in government?
In the church, no.
Why?
Because the Bible says not to.
Well, that's not what happens in the Bible. Women do lead all the time.
Hey, Megyn Kelly, I'm gonna need to holler at you. And by the way, go get Nikki Haley too. Go get Nikki Haley. Go get all of the women that wanted to put the lipstick on this sexist pig of an administration and try and slide Christian nationalism in so the rest of the women could submit when you have no desire to. How about that? How about that? How about just lining up all the rest of the women for people like this to be in control when you have no desire to live that way yourself? It's a special kind of nasty work. It is a special kind of nasty work. And by the way, how about the women in the administration? I would love to hear from them. I would love to hear from Susie Wiles. I would love to hear from Kristi Noem. I just want to, you know what I mean? I would love to hear how they feel about Pete Hegseth and him subscribing to this kind of ideology, because they've been pretty quiet. They've been real quiet. You know who wasn't? Miss Stansberry. And I appreciate you as always. Just to be clear, this is the U.S. Secretary of Defense, who multiple women voted to confirm, sharing content advocating for women not to vote. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. This is why we must organize and stay in the fight. That's right. It was multiple women who voted to confirm Pete Hegseth. I would love to hear from them as well. That would be solid. There's been significant response to this, but I haven't heard from none of them. Pete Hegseth gave all his sons dogs names: Gunner, Boone, and Rex. Different responses. Responses. Just go to the next one. I support Pete Hegseth's right to hold religious views that differ from mine and to share those views on his personal social media account. That being said, promoting an interview with a Christian nationalist who says women shouldn't be allowed to vote is crazy. Isn't "thou shalt not commit adultery" one of the 10 commandments? And in my version, that one had an asterisk by it. Yeah, that's one of the optionals. I mean, they say it's 10 commandments, but it's more like a 9+1. It's more, yeah, it's a 9+1, but we just say 10 because it's easier. And this cartoon just about sums it up beautifully. As does this: heal the sick, feed the poor, love your neighbor, welcome the stranger. Republicans would have tried to cancel Jesus. Now, not everybody was opposed. Breaking news: CNN reporter discovers basic traditional Christianity. Thank God for our Secretary of Defense. But it's hilarious and terrifying how scandalized this reporter is by simple Christian truths like we think other religions are false and wives should submit to their husbands. Hilarious for those of us who have known of and watched Doug for years. Almost none of the things discussed in this clip are the things that actually make him controversial. Most, if not all, of the subjects covered in this video are the things that any conservative Christian should theoretically agree upon to one degree or another. God has an incredible sense of humor. May we all be so bold and unflinching when the world asks us to explain our beliefs. Well, shout out to you, Alex, for making everybody stand on this. That is solid. That's exactly what we need. I'm gonna need all the rest of them to stand on this. You know what I mean? I love his pride. I love his pride. I'm gonna need all the rest of y'all. Yeah, right by Alex. Right by Alex. We're gonna love. And by the way, I believe since this is what we're doing, we might want to readdress how that was handled with Obama, because I would love to know where Alex stood on that whole flap. In 2008, Obama got hammered for listening to a pastor who criticized America. In 2025, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is praising a pastor who wants to repeal women's right to vote, and no one in the GOP cares. Imagine that. Imagine that. A double standard with Obama and the Trump administration. That's crazy. You said he listened to a pastor who criticized America? Well, they listen to a rug that criticizes America every single day. So that has gotten pretty normalized now, hasn't it? That has gotten pretty, yeah. That's just another day in 2025 now, isn't it, MAGA? And by the way, there's plenty more where that came from. Shout out to Kaylee Triller, who said, "Dear Pete Hegseth, in light of your woefully unfortunate decision to tweet Doug Wilson as an example of your vision for advancing God's kingdom of America, I would like to dedicate a series of tweets to the purpose of amplifying his message. And boy, did she. Oh, brother, this guy stinks! Now, this is not my first foray into this kind of ideology or this kind of rhetoric. We just saw it with the return to the land settlement in Arkansas.
And while the men do the physical labor, the women take care of the children who live here full time.
It could be a very loving community if you're part of the community, but if you're black, or if you're Jewish, or if you're gay, you can't be part of that community.
They can have their own communities, and they already do.
And previously, we saw it with a Christian nationalist settlement in Tennessee.
The white Christian nationalists, led by podcasters Andrew Isker and C.J. Engel, now setting their sights on Jackson County and the county seat of Gainsboro, hoping to turn this quaint community of just over 12,000 people into a political haven for others like themselves.
Okay, now all of a sudden, Trump's threats to federalize D.C. make a whole lot of sense. Then now it makes because he knew we was going to run them out of here. He knew D.C. wasn't going to have it. That is exactly, but we had a mandate. Now here you don't. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way out. And special shout out to those of you that have given me such warm feedback for the newsletter. That really means a lot because I know how hard Regina works on that. It's something we thought would add a lot of value to the channel. If you have any thoughts on additions or suggestions for the newsletter, you could hit me up at admin@reeswaters.com.
Okay, here it is. Check it out. I got it. Why don't we open up a take-in restaurant?
And if you haven't gotten a chance to check it out, you can over at patreon.com/ReesWaters. You can sign up for a free account and that will give you access to the monthly newsletter. There's also the weekly newsletter that is part of the offerings in deep water and troubled water.
If you don't want to play that way, don't play that way. Break.
Also a part of those offerings, merch discounts. Those will be coming soon and those can be accessed either on Patreon or membership right here on YouTube. And there's some new merch that's about to hit the website. Just stay tuned. That is reeswaters.com.
I got one more idea. Rent a spoons. Yeah, see, we serve them soup for free. Rent them spoons.
Is that a racist of the week? I tell you, like, I catch 3 and it's always one roaming around, you know what I mean? They reproduce like bunnies.
Congratulations!
What is it with America and racism? They just can't give it up, like apple pie and baseball and second families. I'm gonna start a new account if y'all keep playing. No, I'm serious. I'm already stacking them. You get a racist of the week, you get a racist of the week, you get a racist of the week. I'm on here making it rain like it's Magic City. But for racists,